We're Sid and Mackie. For the past 6 years, we've been racing mountain bikes professionally and traveling in our van. But for the past year, we haven't been doing that much racing. I spent all of 2020 sidelined with an injury, and COVID-19 canceled all of our races anyway. At the end of 2020, we moved to Boulder, Colorado so that I could work to overcome my injury with the best team possible. And while there's been a lot of progress, it hasn't all been smooth sailing.
This week has totally sucked.
Oh, and because we don't want this video to be a total downer, we're also heading up to visit our bike sponsor, Niner Bikes, and maybe even pick up a little surprise.
The anticipation is building.
Okay, well, this week has totally sucked. I think one of the reasons that we didn't talk much about my injury last year on this channel was the fact that what was going on looked a lot like this and not a lot like this. And I just didn't want to put myself in a position where, I had said, hey, I'm getting better. And then the next week I had to come on and say, hey, I'm getting worse. I didn't want to disappoint myself, all of you. That was just really hard. I think also, if I'm being honest, I wanted to have this kind of tidy, wrapped up recovery narrative. And that just wasn't what was happening. It's just not going to happen. I am going to get out of this hole, but it isn't going to be linear and it's not going to be a tidy narrative, and just gonna have to show up and, tell the story that's actually happening. All this to say, I had about 8 weeks where things were going well. I was making progress. I was stoked. And then last week, so mid-January, we introduced a new movement that really got to the heart of the problem, and things really flared up. While I had started riding, I had to take riding back out of the program, which was pretty big blow. That for me has been the most difficult part, is getting the okay to ride, being able to start riding, and then having to go backwards on that. It is obviously super frustrating. Despite all that, through this particular setback, we did learn some things about my injury, specifically that I probably really injured my hip flexors as well as my adductor tendon to begin with, because they're very, very weak on the left side. So now we know what to work on. And that's kind of why we wanted to make this video, just for anyone who is going through something similar, that, this is normal, and it is normal to be upset and frustrated when you hit a setback. You just can't give up. Today, I'm just gonna focus on what I can do, which is doing some shoulder and upper body work. And to be fair, I wasn't really even able to do shoulder or anything that required ab stabilization for like 5 months, so trying to be grateful that there is something that I can do even in this little downturn.
Babe, did you forget what you said? I'm the one that you want. Was it all in my head? Don't give up on me, babe. No, I fell in too deep. Hope that you see it's all or nothing. Stay
Recovering from chronic pain requires a different lens than recovering from a broken bone or straightforward surgery. While I've been injured many, many times before, this process has been very different than anything I've ever dealt with and has required some serious adjustment.
We can pick up the fight. Don't give up on me, babe.
Over the past few months, I've learned how to move laterally when I can't move forward, and I'm grateful for that lesson.
You and me in the sun. Let the sweet times carry us. Don't give up on me, babe.
Like so many things in life, learning a new skill on the bike, a new song on an instrument, the darkest, most confounding moments often precede the biggest breakthroughs.
Have to stay. Stay by my side.
This is probably gonna sound stupid because I probably should have figured this out like years ago. But I'm doing something different at the bottom where I feel like my glutes are like curving as I start to stand up. Does that make sense?
Like screwing them into the...
Yeah, like you've been saying for about years.
Yeah.
And now I get it.
Yes.
Navigate to Niner Bikes.
Sorry, I didn't understand.
Navigate to Niner Bikes.
Mackie insists on using the
Makes me so
talking
mad.
to Google function, even though it works maybe 10% of the time.
Navigate to Niner Bikes in Longmont, Colorado.
Sure, Rocky Mountain, Kawasaki.
Kind of bikes. Kind of.
Also, they're not in Longmont, are they? They're in Fort Collins.
They're in Fort Collins. That's just where you went wrong.
Okay, Google. Navigate to Niner Bikes in Fort Collins, Colorado.
Okay, Niner Bikes.
You just do it every time and then you get annoyed every time.
I didn't hear you offering to type it in for me.
Okay, that's how this is gonna
Next
go.
left.
So in case you didn't figure that out, if you're on the same page as Google, we're going to visit Niner! Yay!
Yay!
Love Niner. They have been amazing to work with. 2020 was definitely the biggest test of a sponsor-athlete relationship that I think anyone could have thought of. Does that seem accurate to you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I would say that's a pretty good summary.
And Niner passed with flying colors. I mean, I didn't ride all year. Mackie didn't race all year. I mean, nobody raced. But, you know, we didn't do a lot of things that we said we were going to do in our contract through, I will say, like, no fault of our own or of Niners. That's just, like, how it goes. But they were incredibly supportive. They hooked me up with e-bikes, so I still got to try different bikes and just ride this year and last year. It's not 2020 anymore, let it go! I got to ride last year because they were so generous with hooking us up with e-bikes, helping out in like whatever way possible, and yeah, today we're heading up to Fort Collins to say hi and to pick up a frame for Mackie for a little project that I don't know if we're going to talk about that today or not. Maybe we'll keep it a secret.
I don't know.
Alright, see you guys.
Yeah,
Thanks a lot.
How's it going?
bye.
Good. So do you want to see it?
I think everybody wants to see it and wants to know what you're up to.
I want to see it too.
It's not gonna be that easy. They're not making this easy on you.
The anticipation is building.
Wow, it's so pretty. Yep,
Yeah.
that is a hardtail.
Hardtail frame.
Indeed. The light is actually really cool right now.
It's also really light.
I'm sure it is. All right, so tell us briefly, tell the people what your plan is for this bike, why you are so excited.
Well, Niner, I get their newsletters, and they sent one out recently about hardtail single speeds, because this has a PF30 bottom bracket, so you can put a biocentric bottom bracket in it.
And that got the
wheels going, and I thought, gee, I haven't raced single speed since 2012. And wow, single speed world championships is still a thing, and I missed the tattoo last time by this much.
Yeah, I think we're gonna just
Single
pause this
speed.
right here and do a little Mackie
In
single speed
2012
racing
single speeding.
montage.
In 2012, Mackie got a sponsorship from Oscar Blues Brewery to ride the earliest version of the Reeb at that year's Single Speed World Championships in South Africa. Built up with a Gates carbon belt drive, this bike was officially pretty darn sick. Before heading to South Africa, Mackie took the Reeb for a little test drive at the 6-day stage race Breck Epic, climbing something like 40,000 feet in a week. In other words, a super chill adjustment to single speed life. He put out enough watts to rip the cleat out of his shoe and to win the race and officially be crowned the unofficial single-speed stage race world champion. On that note, he headed to South Africa, determined to win the much-coveted first-place prize of single-speed world championships, this tattoo. He led into the final corner and surprise beer feed of the race, only to be outsprinted to the line by South African Olympian Bury Stander, who, yes, had lost his saddle somewhere out on course. This is the only known photo finish in single-speed world champs history and is still talked about to this day. Tragically, Bury was struck and killed by a car while on a training ride less than 4 months after this race, making this one of his final finishes. It's been 8 years since Mackie rode, much less raced a single speed, and a lot has happened in that time. But as you can see, he has some unfinished business with the discipline, and well, 2021 looks as good a time as any. Leave us a comment if you'd like to see him take another stab at earning that tattoo.
So the plan is build this thing up as a super lightweight single speed racing machine.
And maybe race some single speed.
And maybe race some single speed, and I'm really excited.
If there's racing to be had.
If
If
there's
not,
any
you're
racing.
just gonna keep honing your quads of steel.
Precisely.